DEI, baby. That's a dirty word in America today. DEI. Now, let's share something here, some facts, right? You can't just walk in a job and say, hey, I'm a black American. I need a job. It's DEI time. Give me a job. No, it's not how it works. You have to be qualified. And not only that, it's not just black people. Over 60% of the people who receive benefits from DEI were white women. That's right. So let's look at something here. What happens when you don't have DEI? Then you have to settle for what people stuff down your throat. Now, some numbskull had the nerve to post the other day that Pete Hegseth was a Green Beret. Can you believe that? A Green Beret. So let me share some of the responses that I saw to that comment. Let's see here. We have, oh no, you're confusing Green Beret with Tanqueray. It's a green bottle, so I can see the confusion. And for those of you who might not know this, one of the things that Pete Hegseth had to do in front of Congress was to promise he would stop drinking in order to be confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. Right. He had to swear in front of Congress that he was going to stop drinking because he's an alcoholic. Now, who's monitoring that situation? Probably no one. But let's get back to these comments on this Green Beret. One of them I gave you. Here's another. He served under the legendary Captain Morgan. That's believable. His code name was Grey Goose. That's even more believable. I heard that he defeated the great Don Julio. Now that took some work. He's a decorated veteran that served with Commander Johnny Walker. That's right. Actually, he was a general in the Salvation Army. He earned his blue ribbons in the Pabst conflict. If you look closely at the insignia on his Green Beret, it's actually just the Jägermeister logo. He fought next to Samuel Adams. The only cabinets that Pete Hegseth thrives is in the liquor cabinet. He fought in the Battle of Wild Turkey. He was a part of the Gravy Seal. Whiskey Pete actually led the Bourbon Brigade. His commanding officer was Captain Crunch. Pete Hegseth fought in the Battle of Bourbon alongside Colonel Sanders. Last one, if he's a Green Beret, then I am a Green Lantern. Do I really want to make that the last one? Because there's plenty more. Let me just... Hegseth climbed Coors Mountain, but never came down. No, he definitely was not a Green Beret. I need to tell my dad, an actual Green Beret, this joke. All right, y'all. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a minute about qualifications. Now, if you look at the current cabinet, I saw a situation online where the Secretary of Education did not even know what the letters idea stood for. Now, she's the Secretary of Education, and she doesn't understand what special education terms are. That's pretty bad. Now, for the layman, I could see you not understand the idea. If you never had a child who needed that kind of assistance, you probably wouldn't. But as someone who is going to be the highest person in the land when it comes to making sure our children's education is taken care of, she should know. She should know. So we got Hegseth. I'm not going to call her lazy. I'm even going to justify her name. But I tell you, I look at his cabinet and it's crazy. It is insane. I can tell you now that the FBI director has no experience in the FBI whatsoever. And whenever you see him now, he looks like a deer in the headlights. And he's always trying to say something that makes him look bold or big, but it really just makes him look stupid. And his underboss, his assistant director, his claim to fame was being a podcast. That's it. So these are the guys who are running the premier investigatory agency in the land, and neither one of them has a clue. Yet they push out all the qualified people who we had in place that were making us safe. Let's take a quick look at the military right quick. Like, if you notice, they fired a lot of high-ranking officers. These were officers who did things like commanded the Coast Guard, top military person who should have been in Pete Hegseth's position. He got canned. It was insane to get rid of the military structure that we have when we have the best military in the world, and then replace them with people who are unqualified. But yet and still, they want to play victim and talk about DEI. I'm not trying to hear that. I don't think anybody's trying to hear that. So let's go a little further with this thing right here. Everybody who has looked looked at this situation and I've talked to understand that this is President Trump's second term, but they also understand that he didn't do too well the first term. And a lot of the negative things that are said about him were proven to be true. And I'll tell you, when you got a president that reads and speaks on a fourth grade level, how smart is he? Now, I'm not just saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because I'm serious. This man operates on a fourth grade level, reading and speaking. I'm not just making this up. Google it. You'll see. But yet and still, he leads the most powerful nation in the country. And I say lead loosely because he's really not a leader, which is why the government shut down right now and not even our troops are being paid. You know, being a former SEO in the military, 22 years worth of service, I could tell you, most military families are living from paycheck to paycheck. So when you're not paying them, their families may not eat. Now, how do you want me to perform at my best? How do you want me to be that soldier that goes out there with lethality and sense of purpose when I know that my wife and my kids might be hungry and I don't have no way to feed them? It's crazy for people to do this. And let me tell you how much he really cares about the troops. Not only are they being used as a bargaining chip in this situation, but those guardmen that he's been deploying. One thing you need to understand about the guard when they deploy, if they deploy for less than 30 days, they do not get per diem. And without per diem, most of those guys are making a lot less than they were making at home when they could work their regular job and do their guard thing on the weekends. So now their families are struggling. How does he justify that when all he had to do was make sure that their order is read for 30 days or more? Because at 30 days or more, they actually receive per diem, which would have helped them out greatly. But he's writing all their orders when they deploy for 29 days. That way, they don't get per diem. He doesn't have to pay them. So they deploy for 29 days, right? They stand down for a day, and then he puts them back on another 29 days. That's just dirty, and it's wrong. But that's what we're dealing with. When we're dealing with people like Seth that are supposed to be standing up for those soldiers, say, hey, Mr. President, if we want our army to remain the sharp, cutting edge, tip of the spear knife that it is, we got to take care of those soldiers. He's not doing that. So what is he doing? But I can say this, he ain't doing his job. Hey, have a great day.